Hey, yo, what up, fans of the fucking sport? It's Lemek with Selah Sports TV back at it again. Chill. Well, we're gonna talk about what's going on over there in the WNBA. But in order to do that, I want to talk about the NHL. Now, I know a lot of guys are saying like, huh, the NHL? Like, what do they have to do with each other? Quite a bit, quite a bit. There was a time where the NHL, I mean, even now, the NHL is not one of the. When you think of American sports, you don't think of the NHL, National Hockey League. You just don't. That's not one of the sports you think of. You know, hell, baseball is quote unquote America's sport, right? And you don't even think of MLB when you think of American sports. I probably guess that you think of the NFL and the NBA, right? Um, those are the two sports that most people tend to think of when you're talking about American sports. Yet here's the NHL still here thriving, right? Why? Why are they thriving? They didn't it's not any they didn't sprinkle any magic dust on anything. It's not any hocus pocus bullshit. It's not any chicanery going on. They just use best business practices. That's all. Best business practices to grow the sport. What am I talking about? There was a time where hockey and National Hockey League in particular was even more marginalized than it is now, right? Um, a lot more, a lot more. Then along came a guy named Wayne Gretzky. Remember him? Yeah, hockey was a whole different sport before Wayne Gretzky came, right? But what happened? What happened? Those old heads, those hockey guys, right? Bobby Hall and Barry Melrose, you know, all those guys who had been around playing the sport that they love, right? They saw potential. They saw the potential for their sport to grow. They say, for whatever reason, it could be nefarious reasons or it could be just straight up ability, right? Straight up talent and ability. It could have been a number of things. But whatever it was, their goal was to grow the sport, right? They were singular in their thought. And the singular thought was, we got to grow the fucking sport. Not nothing else. We want to make hockey into a bigger sport. So what did they do? They used Wayne Gretzky, as the catalyst to do that. How? How did they use Wayne Gretzky as the catalyst? How did Wayne Gretzky power the NHL through the 80s and the 90s and turn it into like pretty close to a mainstream sport? Pretty close. How did that happen? I'll tell you how it didn't happen. It didn't happen by Bobby Hall and Barry Melrose and them taking shots at him before he even got to the league. That's not what they did, right? They knew what the goal was. And I'm saying all that to say we don't know how they felt about him personally. Now, Barry Melrose, he coached Gretzky. So, yeah, different. That's a different thing. When Gretzky left the Edmonton Oilers and went to the Los Angeles Kings, his coach was Barry Melrose. So they were pretty much on the same page, right? But we don't know how he felt when Gretzky first got to the league. It really doesn't matter. That's my point. Their personal feelings did not matter when it came to growing the sport. The only thing that mattered is, hey, this kid is here. Yeah, he's an arrogant little shit, but guess what? People like him. Let's grow the sport. But that's how men think, right? Men have a tendency, well, real men can put personal differences aside in order to build something, right? Real men understand that it's not really about how I feel personally. Then we're not going to let our personal feelings get in the way of a fucking bag, unless it's something that goes against our values, our morals, right? Because money ain't everything. We talk about that all the time over here. But shit, if all things are equal, why would I? Because I don't like that somebody's a little arrogant. That does nothing to me. That does nothing to me. And in the case of Wayne Gretzky, um, his aloofness, his arrogance, whatever it was, could actually be a catalyst to the league. It could be used to grow the sport. Do you understand? But now let's flip it over to the WNBA. Complete opposite. And who's surprised here? Who's really surprised? When you look at the nature of who's over there playing those games, it's I mean, come on. We love women, right? We all love women, but let's just keep it a buck. Women already have kind of a negative, uh, jealous nature to them, right? When it comes to other women, they already have kind of a catty, snipey demeanor, right? But then we're talking about the WNBA, so these ain't even these ain't even real women, if you know what I mean. Like half them things over there are a couple chromosomes from being men. Right? So it's like, it's super toxic, super competitive, super toxic. I have no problem with the competitiveness. The only thing that I find, and I really mean this, truly, truly hilarious, because let me just stay on topic. It's truly hilarious how up until this season, right? Like all for the past what 5 6 years, all we've been hearing is the WNBA players, they want to make the same money as the NBA. I'm not sure they understand how business works, right? Like, where do they think that money is going to come from? You know, if you're playing in quarter field arenas, right? How in the fuck? How in the fuck? How in the absolute cowboy fuck do you expect to get paid the same as somebody who's filling up the arena? How? So they revealed. I mean, these are college grads, right? They reveal their level of intelligence or lack thereof, right? I'm not targeting women. I'm targeting them bitches in the WNBA and how stupid they are. Because you got plenty of women in business who understand these things, right? They understand how it works. Plenty. But something over there in the WNBA, like there's not a lot of brain cells working over there. Why in the fuck would you expect to get paid the same? You don't generate the merch revenue. You ain't selling tickets, right? Your sport it's really, it's not marketable. And anything that you have going on is due to the popularity of the NBA, right? But they're not really bright enough to understand that. Instead of them trying to make an ally out of NBA players and make an ally out of the NBA, what did they do? They demanded NBA players support them and support their sport while also claiming to be their equals. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Sort of a microcosm of what's going on out here, right? Sort of a microcosm. I mean, every way you look, you got women saying, "We can do everything you can do." You got women, all in your face saying they can do whatever you can do until they need help, and then where are the men? Why are the men not helping us? They want it both ways, right? These tough bitches over there, I mean, you're tough, right? You're tough. You're tough until you need something, and now you're looking for a handout. So, yeah, it's pretty toxic over there. But that ain't even the totality of what this video is about, for real. Because yeah, they were bitching and crying over getting more money. I don't know where they thought it was gonna come from, but guess what happened? Guess what fucking happened? The stars aligned in the sky just right, right? And there was a college player that America took a hold to for whatever reason. Again, back to the Gretzky phenomena. For whatever reason, America liked Caitlin Clark. Doesn't matter why. The fact of the matter is, it's true they did like her. She smiled, and they do, still do, right? She smiled. She's not angry. She's not grimacing and mugging the camera down. She's she's married to a man, right? Several different reasons why America took a hold of this young college player and said, "Yeah, we can get behind a player like this," even though she didn't win a championship in college, right? She was likable. She was likable. And yes, in a capitalistic society, that counts for something. Why? Because, believe it or not, WNBA players, you're selling goods and services. You're in sales. That's what you're doing. And if people don't fucking like you, your sales are going to suffer. That's how it works. In order to sell, people got to like you. People bought Jordans, people bought Jordan shoes. Why? Because they like Michael Jordan. They like Michael Jordan. That's why. Right? The guy went out there, did his job. He was a man's man. You know? I mean, his tape, his film jumps right off it jumps right out the TV at you. Like, it looked like he was playing a different game than everybody else. Like watching Michael Jordan play, it looked like he was on another level than everybody else. It's just the things he could do physically and just made it look easy. People like shit like that. His style of play, we've never seen nothing like that until Jordan came. Right? I mean, the same thing happened years before when Magic came. Like, people gravitated towards him because he brought something to the table. Magic had an even bigger personality. People like those guys. Again, it doesn't have to be for the right reasons. People like Larry Bird, and his personality was shit, right? But Larry Bird was a great player, and he was a great counterbalance to Magic Johnson, right? Larry Bird was a dog. Larry Bird was Larry Bird was trying to kill you every play. People like that. It doesn't matter what people like; it's the fact that they did. So the WNBA, they haven't had that. I would go as far as to say they haven't had that since the early days of the WNBA when you had Cynthia Cooper around, right? And then of course Cheryl Swoops came and they teamed up and they had a great fucking team. But Cheryl Swoops was a lot different than Cynthia Cooper, right? Cynthia Cooper, again, I mean, I hate to break it down like this, but apparently this means a lot. Cynthia Cooper has a husband, right? She played ball, she did her time, she dominated the league, won championships, won MVPs, and went on about her life. Went on to coach and, do all of that, and she went on about her life. She's not struggling to hold on to her. She's not trying to hold on and try to make her name the biggest in the sport, and like, she's not trying to do all that. She has a family, right? Cheryl Swoops, Not so much. Cheryl Swoops is in that alphabet community, right? Very angry, very bitter, very mean, very cold. And I call that, and I've seen them type of bitches. Trust me, I've seen them type of bras like so many times. That bitter beer faced bitch that's always mad, always angry, right? With it, whatever you say, the first thing they do, I mean, you can see them. Their eyes are moving back and forth, and they're trying to figure out how can I be offended by what this person said to me. That's their first thought. How can I be offended? How can I turn this around to gain some advantage and be offended? Yeah, it's people like that. People really are like that, and she's one of them, right? And not just her, but the league is full of those people. Diana Taurasi, right? Another bitter one. Bitter, um, super unattractive, right? I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. You can't sell that to Americans. You can't sell that to Americans. You might be able to sell that shit in France or somewhere else, England or some like Germany or some shit. You can't sell that to Americans. We're not into that. We're not. It doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us good. It just makes us American. So, Caitlin Clark, right? Caitlin Clark, um, and real quick before I even speak on Caitlin Clark, I honestly think the I think the WNBA season, I think it starts a little bit too close to the end of the college basketball season. I think I understand why they do it. You know, they want to keep the momentum from women's college basketball. They probably want to keep that momentum going. You know, people watching women play basketball. So that has to be the reason. But at what cost, right? Like if you're not getting the best out of your players, the product will suffer. So I think there needs to be a balance to be considered. But I'm not even gonna cry about that because they've been playing that way. It's been that way for as long as I can remember, right? It's always been that way. So there's no need me crying about it now because Caitlin Clark is struggling, right? I'm not gonna do that. I'm just throwing it out there. But why didn't the quote unquote the old guard of the WNBA, why didn't they put their arm around this girl? Right? Young player that the whole country likes. Why didn't they use her as a catalyst to fuel their league? Why did they take endless shots at her before she even stepped on the court? Oh, she ain't gonna do it. She ain't all that. She ain't gonna do this and she ain't gonna do that. Like, why was that the move? I just don't. It's one thing if your sport is where you need it to be, right? It's one thing if the sport is where you need it to be, cool. It's like, hey, she got to come here and earn her stripes, right? We don't need her. She needs us. Fine. But that clearly ain't the case. Y'all are bitching about money. They were bitching about money, and here comes a player that can basically deliver. Now, am I asking for them to take it easy on Caitlin Clark? No. No, I'm not. It is competition. It is sports. But come on, man. Like the shit that I'm seeing out there and the shit that I'm hearing, like this is like a coordinated effort. This is a coordinated effort. And call me crazy. Call me crazy. But I have a hard time. I bet, I'd be willing to bet that it wouldn't be this way if Caitlin Clark was in that alphabet community. Right? If she was one of them, if she was one of the weirdos like them, they wouldn't be treating her like that. That's what this is about. Because it's pretty well documented. Um, the media won't harp on it because They like to paint certain groups as the victim, and never as the aggressor. But it's well documented that many WNBA players were basically forced out of the league, right? Bullied out of the league by that alphabet community. Bullied out of the league by uh, SAs, right? Assaults, SAs, assaults, right? They are not painting. They're not telling the story about these predators over there. And I really mean predators. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them over there beating up their girlfriends. It's a bunch of them over there uh, groping groping women. They are disgusting. But they would have you think, oh, it's just men, it's patriarchy. They over there like worse, 10 times worse than anything going on in the NBA. Because here's the thing. The NBA, yeah, they got some dirt bags over there too. But whenever anything happens, that spotlight comes out so hard, so fast, right? Pause. That spotlight comes out and gets shown right on whoever the culprit is immediately, ad nauseum, 24 hours a day, if anybody does anything. Whereas the WNBA, it's the complete opposite. The complete opposite. So, the WNBA can't get out of its own way. I think it's hilarious because who didn't know that this was coming, right? When you're, when the leadership is that far off the deep end into that alphabet bullshit, the weirdo culture, when you're that far gone to where you allow some of your talent, some of your best talent gets run off and you're okay with it, then I don't see how you can expect anything, you know? I don't see how you can expect anything good to happen with that league. So it's gonna be fun to watch that league crash and burn because my prediction is they will never get behind Caitlin Clark. I think they drew a line in the sand from the very beginning, and they said, "No, this player will not make it. We're not gonna. We're gonna give we're gonna give her hell. Beating her is like their main goal, more so than the bag. All that shit they was bitching about. That's not important. What's important is, I mean, who really fucking knows? That's the thing. It's like, who really fucking knows what it is? Like, nobody can thrive in an atmosphere like that. Nobody. And that's why the thumbnail is what it is. The WNBA eats itself. It's that same democratic mindset. The Democrats eat themselves. Liberalism, that's the nature of liberalism. It's gonna end up eating itself. Right? I had a decent decent debate in my community as it pertains to a meme about free speech and having the right to bear arms in this country. And like, for one, salute to, I can't recall the name, but salute to the guy who I was debating, right? I appreciate the banter, right? I appreciate the reasoning skills. I do. Because iron sharpens iron. But here's one thing that's lost. People talk about the crime rate in this country, right? And they say it in order to basically push some gun control narrative. Basically, take if you take the guns away, crime will go away. That's the premise, right? I'm gonna tell you why that's fucking stupid though. Look at the states that have gun rights. Look at the states that give people the right to bear arms in this country, and look at the states that don't. And you tell me which crime rate is higher. You tell me which crime rate is higher. Is it the states where you can defend yourself? Is it the state where you can actually go and purchase a weapon and defend yourself with it? You know, you can open carry, right? Is it those states that are like fucking off the deep end with crime and all this other fuck shit, degeneracy? Or is it these blue states where all they talk about is gun control, gun control, gun control, and all gun control does is you taking the weapons away from responsible people. And when you say gun control and there's no, you're basically saying only criminals can have them because criminals don't follow fucking rules. We understand that, right? So what happens is that's where the crime is. They talk about crime and they talk about guns in accordance with crime, but they're setting the conditions to make the crime go up. All to be right. They don't give a fuck about the crime. But that's another video for another day. The Wnba is out there basically eating itself. I think it's funny, and hey, salute to them. I do wish the best for Caitlin Clark. I think it's unfortunate that she's going through this, but I would like to see her turn around. And here's the thing that I got to say: Caitlin Clark is not playing well. Okay, so I'm not gonna discount that either. She's not playing well. It's not even so much about the points. Not for me. It's the turnovers. The turnovers look bad, right? She needs to work on her ball handling a lot. Ball handling and decision making needs to improve. But something tells me she doesn't have the full backing of her teammates and definitely has a target on her back from other teams. So hopefully she can turn it around. I'd like to see it. I think I'd much rather see players like Caitlin Clark, Skylar Diggins. I'd much rather see players like that thrive in the league as opposed to these butch, bitter, beer-faced broads that are angry and trying to hold them back. Anyway, that's all I got. If you like the video, bang off on that like button one time. Peace.